Emerging markets taking a hit. Turkey's currency continues to plunge once more this morning. This morning, you can look at that chart. It's an awful chart. We can go back even further than that if you want to. And it's sparking worries throughout the global markets. The lira now at a new record low overnight. This is by policy moves by the country's central bank. Now, the bank is pledging to provide, quote, all the liquidity the banks need. Joining us now, head of global research at Bulltick Capital, Catherine Rooney Vera. Catherine, these moves or these proclamations, because let's face it, we know Turkey's central bank is operating at the behest of Erdogan, who has publicly stated on more than one occasion he does not want to see them take the kind of actions that global bankers normally would take in this situation.
Yeah, Charles, he's been very explicit about it. In fact, he thinks interest rates are the enemy of the country and they only favor the rich. So the tweets yesterday really did have an impact on the lira. It didn't shock me at all. I mean, they're anti-interest rates, right? They're anti-U.S. And what the market wants to hear is completely the opposite. Anti-IMF. The market wants to hear, okay, the central bank has independence and it's going to jack up rates 1,000 basis points. You know, inflation is verging on 20%. It's nearing there. And really what the crux of the issue is in Turkey is the need for foreign capital. And if you spook investors with a gaping current account deficit of 7% of GDP, plus the need to finance private companies with foreign currency debt that needs to be repaid in U.S. dollars, with the lira dropping 40% year to date, you're going to make for a very scary picture.
How do you see it playing out from here? This is another one of these global situations where President Trump is essentially taking on a strongman, a de facto dictator, for lack of a better word. He just had this incredible election, which everyone questions after that failed coup attempt. He got rid of almost all his political enemies. We know that Erdogan also moving Turkey in a direction that scares a lot of people who understand the history of Turkey and what Ataturk was trying to achieve with a modern-day Islamic society.
Right. Hey, I think, Charles, that this worst-case scenario goes from a currency crisis to a liquidity crisis, and we have large-scale restructurings and defaults. Does this take down the global economy? No. I mean, trade is minimal, but it could have an impact on emerging market currencies. We've already seen the Brazilian real, Argentine peso be decimated this year, and we could get a sudden stop, as we call it in emerging markets world, which is capital flows reverse. They're no longer going into emerging markets looking for that yield in a low interest rate world, but they head for the doors.
Hey, Catherine, good morning. It's Mitch. The thing I'm concerned about is contagion. So you have an emerging market, its currencies in free fall, its markets are really discombobulated, for lack of a better word, and it's starting to creep into the global markets we saw overnight. What's the concern that more capital flows out of emerging markets and we see investors running for the hills?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest concern, especially if we have a financial collapse. Like I said, if we have currency crisis turns into liquidity and financial collapse, financial crisis as well, then you get a spook in emerging markets. I think, Mitch, though, that would open the doors for opportunities in some currencies and make for some interesting investment opportunities, because really in the MSCI World Index and Emerging Markets Index in the equity space, Turkey has a small role. Of course, this could be felt more in Europe than in the United States, with certain banks, UniCredit, BBVA, having higher exposure to Greece than other banks. But I would suspect that this is going to be minimal in terms of the effect on a global scale.
So, Catherine, you think that they're handling this exactly the wrong way? That
correct.
They did exactly what they shouldn't have done in order to ease market fears. What is the way out of this? Because if this does have a ripple effect, if we are seeing other currencies drop, if we are seeing this fear, you said maybe it's not going to go global, but we are concerned about what might happen to emerging markets.
Sure.
What is the right thing for them to do?
There's so many things that they need to do. They need to start with increasing interest rates at least 1,000 basis points, like we saw Argentina do back in May. They jacked up interest rates 10 percentage points. They need to increase credibility. There's a huge hit on credibility with nepotism at the highest ranks, and with a real collapse in any confidence with the Erdogan regime. They need to engage in structural reforms. They need to revamp the debt structure, and they need to really come out and be forceful with regard to central bank independence. So that's just to kick this off. But over the longer term, I think Turkey faces some serious pressures with regard to their debt profile. I mean, 40% of GDP in the private sector is indebted in U.S. dollars or euros. I mean, that's a tremendous amount.
And, I want to bring, that's a great point, because over the weekend, Erdogan urged the citizens of Turkey to turn in their dollars and their euros for the lira, and no one took them up on it, right? So by the same token, they've launched 350 investigations to social media sites. He's using that same ham-fisted strongman tactics to sort of browbeat the country, and by the same token, I guess the other part, hey, do your part and turn on these dollars. Folks aren't doing that, and that's making this dilemma a lot worse. So again, to piggyback off of Lee's question, how do you see the end game here, and how much will Europe play a role in this? Because we know their economy will be impacted a lot more than ours will.
I think this has got to go to the IMF. I mean, that's the other thing that spooked the market. Erdogan said, okay, I'm against interest rate hikes, I'm against IMF, and by the way, I want to escalate tensions with the U.S. Certainly, I think since Erdogan came on board in Turkey, the lira has dropped 70%. And anyone who took up the president's nationalist, come into the country and take one for the team suggestion has lost a ton of money. So certainly this is loss of credibility for him, although he does maintain some support in the country. I think domestically it also impacts his standing.
Yeah, when you
so
mentioned
I think
that,
the lira, let me just finish, Charles. The lira has to drop further for this to play out in his favor. It has to drop further to make exports competitive and Turkey avoid economic collapse, which I think is at this point inevitable.
Yeah, but when you mention the IMF, I mean, what kind of terms can they put on that would involve the pastor, the American pastor that they took hostage?
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
it's like, so, and just how much, if he doesn't want to accept the terms of its own central bank, could you imagine him accepting terms from the IMF? There's no way.
No. The IMF is so punitive, too. They would come in and they would say, okay, guys, you got to fiscal consolidation to the max, increase interest rates. They would be very rigorous. So, yeah, the IMF would be – what I'm saying, Charles, is perhaps they don't even take it. But, hey, let's start talking. Let's start talking to the IMF, get a package going, get talking, salvage some credibility. They need the inflows. They have to have them. They don't have domestic funding to cover their dual deficits. So they must have this. It's not something that they can say, okay, let's spook the markets and we'll be okay. No, quite the contrary.
And, Catherine, what do you make the threat of steel and aluminum tariffs playing into all of this madness?
I think it's pretty comical. I mean, you hear President Erdogan come out and lay the full blame on the United States. That's populism at its best. We see that in Venezuela as well. No, the blame lies fully with terrible policy moves by this administration. Certainly, that exacerbates an already bad situation. Could be something that moved the needle in terms of market sentiment, and it doesn't make for anything better. But at the end of the day, Turkey's not a huge player in either of these two spaces, and nor does it impact the U.S.
I think its military, strategic military positioning might be as important as its economy, but we'll see how it plays out. We really appreciate Catherine Rooney Vera, your expertise this morning. Thanks a lot.